Hey guys, how are you? It's Shalea Homebody coming back to you for an all-new review. I know I've been gone a long time for those of y'all who used to watch my reviews, a couple of months back, but things have happened. Had to get myself centered and everything to come back. World's gone crazy. If you've been watching the news or living it and all that, world's crazy. Had to get my head together before I came back on here. But anyways, I'm back to do an all-new review. And for those of y'all who don't know me, I'm Shalea Homebody. Hi, everybody. It's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you. But I'm back for the reviews. Let's get into the reviews for Lovecraft Country, the new show on HBO MAX. I just now reviewed episodes 1 and 2, and I'm ready to go ahead and get those both out the way so then I can be all ready for episode 3. So anyways, Lovecraft Country on HBO, definitely a good show. So let's get on into it. So the show starts in what I thought was like World War I or II, because we see these guys in the trenches and we hear this the classic radio in the background, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, they in the trenches fighting. What's this, World War I, World War II? And as they're fighting everybody, getting on up through they're getting up through. I'm just like, oh man, in a straight line, knocking all the enemies out. Next thing you know, helicopters fly over top, and the main guy gets out of the trenches to go fight. I guess outside of which I'm just like, okay, that's different, a little dangerous. But anyway, he goes outside, and next thing you know, it's like a scene from some sci-fi film. And I'm just like, whoa, okay, get my bearings together. This is different. Like some scene from, some type of old-timey alien show or like cartoon or whatnot. We got UFOs, the classic round UFOs, shooting people. We got like octopus tentacle aliens just shooting lasers from the eyeballs and motherfuckers. And next thing you know, one of the UFOs flies over, and then all of a sudden some red bitch comes out just looking all types of from the motherfucking lights. And I'm looking over and I'm like, is that Blink? Yes, y'all, Blink from The Gifted. I said, okay, look at you getting a whole nother role. Anyway, she comes down and he's over here looking at her like she's the savior, and I'm just like, she just came down from the UFOs, my dude. Black man, let's get this together. What are you doing? He's over here hugging and stuff. I don't know what's going on. Next thing you know, she's speaking another language, and then she's turning him around. There's a big old other tentacled lizard monster looking at him, and I'm just like, to which case, next thing I know, it's getting splattered all over everybody. Goop everywhere. Blah. And then popping on out the blue is Jackie Robinson, number 42 himself. I said, what? And he done smashed this thing with a baseball bat, of all the things. Okay, we gonna go with it, y'all. That's what I said. I said, you know what? It's my first time, first 10 seconds, we gonna go with it. That's what, if Jackie's gonna hit the alien, knock him out with a bat, then that's just what they said. Jackie, he knocked the alien out with a bat. That's just it. Okay. So, me and the black soldier dudes was looking at him like, Jackie Robinson? And Jackie just all laid back, cool, just, what's up? Baseball bat. Next thing you know, the monster reconfigures himself, puts himself back together, and that's when I'm just like, Jackie! Don't get killed by the monster, Jackie! And then, Jackie turns around all cool, calm, collected, like he just expected this to happen, and he gets his baseball bat raised up to knock the monster out again, when all of a sudden, black dude that we see hugging up on the redhead alien bitch wakes up. And he's on a bus. And I'm just like, oh, it was a dream. Okay. Now, the question that on my mind is, was this a foreshadow of things to come? Or is this just, nothing but a dream? A dream is a wish your heart makes. But anyways, now that he's woken up, we see a lady in front of him telling him, oh, you woke up, you ain't missed much, just going over another bridge named after some slave owner. And then we see old dude giving himself a good right old fuck you to the South and Jim Crow laws as he's leaving, of all places, Kentucky. I'm just like, oh, yay! My state, represent, unbridled spirit. You just You just love when your state gets mentioned in movies, but then it's just like, oh, yeah, right. It's mentioned for the racism. Yeah, we got that too. But I digress. Now as they're giving giving the middle finger to the Jim Crow laws, going into what I presume is either Ohio or Indiana, the bus breaks down. I'm just like, of course it does. As soon as you give the middle finger to the Jim Crow, that's when Jim Crow comes back to bite you in the ass. So now the bus is broken down, and they're waiting on another ride. And then the other ride turns out to be some pickup truck taking them to the next town. And unfortunately for the black folks, can't ride. I'm sorry. That just slipped out. Anyway, they can't ride, so now they gotta walk to the next motherfucking town. I'm just like, of course. See, what people think is, back in the day, when they left the Jim Crow South, that it was just somehow all the better back in the North. But yet, you still walking, I see. Anyway. Now we in Chicago. And this is where I really like, where I can kind of see, how Jordan Peele put his little spin on it, because the music just, it stands out. It goes so well. And even some of the music that didn't go with the times, it just went with what, was going on. I loved it. I loved the music in it. I was just like, that sounds like Jordan all the way. So now they in Chicago, in a house, and then we see, of all the people, Courtney B. Vance. I said, long time no see, Mr. Courtney B. Vance. Where have you been? I really love Courtney's acting. He's one of those dudes who's got that real dignified acting way of speaking and stuff. Not many people got that. That's like that old timey, where you just like, oh, you went to school for this shit. Yeah, you might have been in plays. You had type of good acting. Yeah, types of people like Angela Bassett, Felicia Rashad, Viola Davis got that too. They just got that way of talking when they speak, just like dignified, just like you.
Your Honor, I did not plan to speak on this matter, but I would be remiss if I did not respond to my good friend, Mr. Chris Darden. All right, I wasn't in the meeting. I was having a bowel movement.
Sorry I asked.
No. You wanted it, now you're gonna get the blow by blow.
Wait.
Better not speak to me that way. And I just love it. I love watching him act. So happy to see him. Anyway, as we seeing him, he's over here trying to get pro coitus with his wife. But then his wife's got to stop to ask him. Apparently, he's like the publisher or an author of the Green Book, or he calls it the Guidebook, but it's basically just the Green Book. In with a different name, the guide that helps black people go down into the South and travel in the South safely. He makes those, and his wife's asking him, how about you let me go down there and go down there for you this time? And he's just looking like, bitch, what you say? That was even me. I was just like, girl, what you say? Go down by yourself. All by yourself. Let me think all the ways that could not be good. But so he's trying, he's sitting there just like, I was just trying to get a little thing in, and you want to talk about going down south by yourself. And so he's just telling her, girl, that's dangerous. You shouldn't do that. And then she gets all mad, and then she tries to huff and puff on her way. And he's just like, hold on now, come on back here. I still want that little coitus. And I'm just like, oh no. Courtney B, I don't need to be seeing this right now, Granddaddy Vance. I don't need to be seeing this, And then even the wife is just like, these walls is thin. And I'm just like, yeah, they are. And he just like, I don't give 2 fucks in a quarter. And I'm just like, they start, fornicating with each other. And I'm just happy they cut away, because something about watching Mr. Dignified Courtney Vance get it in is just uncomfortable and unsettling for me. I just don't think I could watch it. But I digress. Me and the daughter, we sitting here going over to the daughter drawing. She's making some good old comic book drawings too. She was a good little artist. And then we all hear Mama Vance moaning and groaning. Me and the child was just like, oh my God. So she lifts up the curtains in the kitchen, and who does she see but the freaking dude from the bus stop? Now he in Chicago. Atticus is his name. Apparently, he is the nephew of Courtney B. Vance's character, Uncle George. He is now Uncle George to us, everybody. He's got another name. So Uncle George is just, gutting out. So Uncle George runs out the room after he hears his daughter screaming. And I'm just sitting there thinking, oh no, I hope you finished. What's that all up? He coming outside putting his robe together, and then he just see it ain't nobody but his nephew. I know he upset. So, but they happy to see him. He's coming down from Florida, or he's coming up from Florida. And I'm just like, you really went down south, especially in those days. So he's coming in, they all happy to see him, and next thing you know, him and the uncle are having a discussion about his daddy gone missing. He started having a conversation about his daddy gone missing for a couple of days, and his Uncle George said it's been a couple of days since he's seen him, and he's just talking. And then Atticus mentions that his daddy wrote him a note. Ain't talked to each other in years, but apparently his daddy wrote him a note telling him that he's got some type of birthright from his mama's peoples, and he need to go over to Arkham House. And they was all shocked because we had just seen Arkham House on one of them books that Atticus was reading, apparently from that was written by Lovecraft. And we'd sitting here thinking, oh my God, he's gonna go over to Arkham House. But then his Uncle George was like, nah, let me see that letter. And then he looks at him, he's like, man, it don't say Arkham, it says Ardum. That's a D. So now they sitting here looking up where Ardum is, and apparently it's in this place called Devon County. But they look at the map and it's just like blank. Nobody knows where exactly Ardum House is. We just got a map of Devon County. And so now they got to go down to Devon County to get a map of the property values to try to find where Ardum House is. And we talking deep in the south, down south Devon County. And no place in there does it seem like there's any place, welcoming for the black folks. So his uncle's looking at him, he's just like, you gonna go down there? And he's like, yeah, I gotta go down there to look for him. And so his uncle tells him, well, he gonna go down there too, because apparently his uncle was going down south to put some more to check out some reviews for the guidebook or that were bad or whatnot. So he's just like, I'm coming with you. So now we see his uncle getting some money from, I guess, the publishing book place where he does his review books, and then getting his car fixed up, his car Woody fixed up for the ride down south. Like, that's a scary ass job. That's all I gotta say. That's a scary ass job. It takes some balls to go down there. Not to mention, he was just mentioning the fact that his knee got shattered because he got attacked or something from when he went down there sometime in the past. I'm just like, my God, you got your knee shattered? Jesus Christ. And you still doing it too. Dedication to the cause. Ooh, don't know if I could do it. But yeah, so next thing we see is a block party. Everybody having a good time up in the block party. I'm just like, I really love seeing those old timey black parties back in the day. Those are one times where I'm just like, I wish I could be down there, cause that shit looks so much fun. We got the band, old timey band. They playing all the classic good stuff. Everybody just yes. I'm like, yes, it's a good ass time. You don't see too much that in these days. Definitely not here, unless it's like in the summer. I've only been to like block parties like one time down here, but y'all don't want to know about all that. Back to the story. Okay, so they having a block party, and we see this girl Ruby getting it down on the mic. I'm like, go ahead, Ruby, get it down. And then we see Gabrielle Sidibe pull up. I said Gabrielle Sidibe, didn't I? Wow. I mean Journey Smollett. Anyway, we see Journey Smollett pull up, and she's going around taking photographs. I'm thinking she's some type of reporter or something. Then we see Atticus and the uncle and everybody having a good time, and they listening to the good old music when Ruby stops and she's asking everybody, what else you want to hear? We got time for one last song. When all of a sudden Letitia pop up talking about play the Shake It song. Can't remember it off bad. But anyway, she like, play the Shake It song. And then we see Ruby over here cutting up, giving her the side eye, like, bitch, what you doing here? I'm like, ooh, some tension. So next thing you know, everybody's like, oh, Ruby, your sister heard. Go ahead, sing with your sister. And we can look at Ruby and tell that she don't want to sing with her sister. But when the crowd's in there chanting Letitia, and everybody's just like, well, what can you do but sing with your dang sister? So Letitia get up there and they start shaking, and I'm like, that's a good old song, and they doing good. They sound good together. Apparently they used to sing in the church. So far away from the church now, it's so good I'm dancing like I really heard. Either way, let me stop. And anyways, they sitting there shaking and jiving, and I'm just like, the party is getting on. Yes, all the black folks is dancing. So hot up in here, Atticus then took himself over to the fire extinguisher, got some supplies, broke that bitch open, and all the water started shooting. I'm like, oh yes, now come on, getting a good time. And so after they get done with that, having they, nice, good performance, ladies get off and the tension starts back again. You're like, for a second it was down, and you can see the nice sister you love. And then after they got off the stage, back on up, because Ruby done told her, bitch, I ain't got no money for you, and if you think because you got on that stage and performed that you gonna get any of these tips, another thing coming. And so apparently Letty, so Letty tells her that she don't want none of her money, she just want a place to stay. There it is. I knew it. I always knew you wanted something. And I don't know what the tension is between these two, but I really want to know. I hope further on in the episodes we get the explanation, because I ain't one to talk about character, I ain't one to talk about things, but sometimes I look at the fact that a character's more dark and a character's lighter, and I'm just like, is there an explanation there? And it's not like everything, it's not all the time. Lots of times, it could just be character casting because the character's that good. But let's take like Greenleaf, how we was always remarking on how old girl was lighter than the other two, and we first was just like, okay, well, maybe it ain't nothing for her. The daddy's dark, the mama light, it ain't that big of a deal. And then all of a sudden we found out that the mama done had an affair and that ain't even the daddy's daughter. Type of stuff. That's what I was wondering. Just curious. Came to my thought process. Put it in my head for later just to see if it comes up. Maybe. It could be. Maybe not. Anyways, back to the story. I keep diverting myself. I need to stop that. Focus, girl. Focus. Anyways, so now that the sister told her that she could stay with her for 2 nights, and she over looking at her like, well, how am I gonna get a job in 2 nights? Go ahead, go up to the north side. And Letty just looking like, bitch, I ain't going to the north side. I ain't cleaning no houses. And I'm just like, well, girl, where you gonna get a job in 2 days? That's what kills me about some people, though. It's like, look, girl, you can just go there for a few minutes. I get you don't want to clean the houses. I mean, even I don't want to clean the motherfucking houses, but we need money, okay? Money. We needs it. So how about you just go over, clean some houses, get that, as you doing that, like the sister's doing. She's over here working, but she's still putting in applications at the department stores that she want to work with. But Letty just want to get up in the department stores now. She want to be in a department store, working in the department store girl. And once she get there, she gonna have enough money to get her own apartment, her own house or whatnot. Yes, that's Letty's dream. And while Letty's over doing all that, Ruby's just looking at her like, all that's well and good, but 2 days, girl. You got 2 days. And then she walks on off. That night we see Sonny go into his father's apartment, and he's looking around and stuff, and at some photos, I guess a family photo of his dad, him and his mama when he was younger. And then we see him making a phone call to Korea of all places. So he picks up the phone, is calling. He got this tortured look on his face, just you know how you feel the look when the jaws clench. When the jaws clench, you torture just. Next thing you know, we hear this girl talking in Korean, and then she pauses, and she's like, tick, and then she's just like, you went home, didn't you? You shouldn't have done that. And I'm sitting there just like, oh, what's going on? What is this? Did Tick leave a wife and baby back in South Korea? Tick, did you leave your wife and baby without telling them? Is that what you did, Tick? And so after he hangs up the phone, we get, night turns to day, and it's the morning time, and we see Tick walking out, and he's sitting here checking out Letitia Lewis's booty in these skin tight pants. I'm like, looking good, Letitia, as she's putting her stuff in the trunk, and then she notices Tick checking it out, and I'm just like, Tick, are we really doing this when you was just on the phone with a tortured face to what could have been your wife? I see how you roll, Tick. So he's checking out Letitia's booty. She looks at him and she's just like, you gonna stir me or you gonna help me with these luggage? And so they apparently know each other from high school. They rekindle some old friendships. Then Uncle George comes out and he's just like, Letitia's going with us. Apparently they're going to give Letitia a ride to her brother's house, and her brother apparently is going to help them dig up some more information about Devon County. So now they're going south to Devon County, and I mean, once you go south, you really start to see changes. Even if they are slight changes, because we start seeing like the white folks treating them like a monkey at the gas station, making the monkey noises, looking all stupid, and I'm just like, how dare you when you look like you live in a redneck trailer trash park home? You sitting over here making fun of me, calling me a monkey when, boy, we in the same boat. That's what I never understand. You over here, I'm just like, I'm getting your gas. Sitting here getting your gas. You should be treating me with utmost respect. I am a paying customer, sir. And so he's Atticus actually getting a little mad, like he might get a little buck, and that's when Letitia's just like, no, come on, let's go. And as they drive off, what do we see but the Aunt Jemima sign? Delicious. I'm just like, as you see like the irony on the posters as they go further down south, and you see the color signs, and then you see the impoverished black folks, and then you see these signs talking about, oh, you'll have a good old time coming down to the South Country. It's just like, it really brings it home, but it's at the same time it's so cringy. So as they're going further down south, they stop and get themselves together, I guess in the morning, because it's hard to find a colored folk hotel down south, especially in rural areas. So they got to get themselves situated outside in the forest. And then they decide they're going to go to, apparently they found like a colored restaurant that they can go and eat in, and so they decide to go there. That's in Simmonsville. Oh, Simmonsville. So now they're in Simmonsville. And as you're walking around, you can clearly see that it just doesn't seem like a place that the colored folk need to be. And then as they stop in Simmonsville, they're just pointing to, is it this red brick restaurant? And I'm just like, this don't look like the area that would, I'd say, a colored folk place would be. It just doesn't give me the because it's like white folks everywhere. You don't see not a colored folk, not a black person amongst them, no black people anywhere. And I'm like, when has there ever been a diner, a colored folk diner, where you don't see no black people populating the place? I just don't, I don't see it. But anyway, they go inside and we see the little waiter guy and this white man staring at them looking like, clearly, what you doing here? You see, you don't say it, but you see it all over his face. He got so mad, he got up, just pushed Huff and Puff, threw his napkin down, and got on out of there. Couldn't stand being up in there. And as he's doing that, I'm just like, this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. Why are you sitting here? Uncle George just sitting here just like, hi, we'll just sit ourselves. And I'm just like, Uncle George, what are you doing? And then the waiter comes up, gives them a meal, just all scared and shit to give them a menu. And then they just like, how about we get some coffee? And then he takes the fuck off. And at that point, it's clear that they should probably not be here. And this is when Uncle George, busted kneecaps, Uncle George. Not one, but two busted kneecaps, Uncle George. As Atticus is just like, maybe we should get the fuck up out of here. He tells them, no, we ain't getting up out of here. We got a right to be here. Our money is the same as their money. And we got a right to be here. And I'm just like, Uncle George, although that is true, we are in the South with a lynch. And ain't nobody gonna say no to them. The whole crowd will get in and join in on shit. What are you doing, Uncle George? And it's that point that Letitia gets up and goes to use the bathroom. And as she goes to use the bathroom, she hears the conversation of the waiter on the phone talking about, oh yeah, there's 3 of them. No, I didn't serve him. No, not after what you did to Miss Lydia. And I'm sitting there just like, what the fuck happened to Miss Lydia? And next thing you know, we see Letitia running out that motherfucker. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Get your black ass down here. We got to go. Running. Bitch, don't stop. Respect. She don't stop. She keeps on going. Don't even go straight to the car. Start the motherfucking car. In the meantime, Atticus is looking over. He's jumping the fuck up. Looking like, Uncle George, what the fuck are you waiting on? Picking up papers. Come the fuck on. Letitia's already gone. She got the car started. She's stopping. And y'all got 5 seconds to get up in this car and I'm taking the fuck off. the seconds to switch these, to switch seats in this motherfucker. I'm with the teacher. Don't shut the fuck up and move it. You gotta move it. They had to get in the car driving the freaking 2 cars in the fire departments after they asked with guns. I'm like, my God, what the fuck is this? It ain't sundown yet. Y'all motherfuckers, they are driving. And Uncle George is sitting there trying to be a backseat driver, a side seat driver, whatever you want to call him. And Letitia ain't got time for it. I mean, she gotta concentrate. Keep talking about keeping steady, bitch. How am I gonna keep this car steady when I gotta swerve from the bullets, motherfucker? I gotta swerve from these bullets. What are you talking about? And then Uncle George is in there just talking about, look, girl. And she's just like, boy, I wish I ain't little girl. My name is Letitia motherfucking Lewis. And I said, that's the motherfucking right, Journey. Letitia motherfucking Lewis. Say your name.
When we running from races,
but I digress. So now they rolling through the fields and the alleyways, and then we look over and who do we see? A silver sedan. That's what I forgot to say. Stop. Rewind. Play. The owner of the bar had told Atticus that he had seen his daddy walk off with some rich-looking white man in a gray sedan. And next thing you know, let's fast forward back to where we was. Okay, pause play. We are now back in the car chase, and who do we see as we look over on the other side of the road but a silver gray expensive-ass sedan. And then suddenly, the silver gray sedan gets in front of the car chasing him, and then all of a sudden, next thing we know, the silver sedan turns and speeds and stops in front to block the car from chasing them any further. And we're thinking that the silver sedan's gonna get crashed into. No, we see a clear gap between the car flipping and the car not touching that gray sedan. Like, hold on, there is clear gappage between that other car flipping and that sedan. But something to come back to for later date. Not Corona. Okay. So after the gray sedan stops the car from chasing them any further, they got the nerve to stop. Why? I don't know, but they stop and they looking over, and next thing we know, we see this gray-haired blonde chick get on out there with a badass hat, I will say, and a nice little suit, and she just stops and just does nothing but stares, blank face. And I'm just like, well, who this bitch? And that's when Atticus is just like, go. So they run up out that motherfucker, and then they get safely to the brother's house, Letitia's brother's house. They made it. Okay. That night, as everybody's celebrating the fact that they survived and laughing about the fact, and the Uncle George is making a joke about Letitia motherfucking Lewis saving their asses. Yes, she did. And now we talk about Devon County, and how Devon County is pretty problematic in the fact that there is a sheriff in there named Sheriff Hunt, who let's just say he likes making black people disappear. Yeah, there's a whole NAACP file on his ass. And, not only that, there's also cases of missing people gone missing in the forest because of grizzly bears and animals. And one must ask themselves, who would you rather be called by? The racist, sheriff or the grizzly bears? And on one hand, I'm just like, now, the grizzly bears, at least the grizzly bears don't discriminate. But they fast as fuck. I think I choose the animals, because at least I ain't gotta worry, because at least sometimes they might not fuck with you if you don't fuck with them. Anyways, how that sounds? Yes, scary. Okay, so anyways, but they gotta go, they gotta do what they gotta do, they gotta find Chick's daddy, the abusive daddy, the one that used to beat them, but family's family. So they that night, as we see Uncle George talking to his daughter about her new little book that she's been writing. She is the heck of a comic strip artist. I swear for God, that girl's got talent. She is over there talking to him, and he puts a phone on to his wife, and next thing we see, he's telling his wife, how about next time I do a guide tour, we both go down there together. Further later on that night, we got Atticus outside hearing Marvin and Letitia arguing. Family drama, about how she didn't show up for mama's funeral. The same reason Ruby's mad, because she didn't show up for the mama's funeral, and everybody's wondering what's going on with that. And before I even mention that, let's also go back to Uncle George, because he had a photo in his wallet. It looked like a photo of Atticus's mama, actually. And then I was just like, hold on, what's going on here? What are we trying to put together here? But back to the fight with Letty and her brother. Basically, Letty and her brother had a fight so bad that he told her to get the fuck out of his house in the morning. So now Letty can't stay there. So the next day we see Letty and her bags getting right back into Woody, and Atticus and Uncle George just looking at each other like, I guess she coming with us. So they get in the car and they head on to Devon County. Oh, that's what I forgot. Atticus and his uncle, not only was Letty and Marvin having a fight, Atticus and Uncle George ended up having a fight, because apparently Atticus used to get his butt whooped by his daddy, and he's somewhat resentful of his Uncle George for not saving him from that. So the reason I brought this up is because the next morning there's tension in the car, and Atticus has got this attitude, and this attitude takes them all throughout the day, to where when it starts to get, the lights starting to wane in the sky, we seeing them like, okay, well, we can't find it, we've been traveling all day, we should go. Atticus is all, you gonna give up? You just gonna give up? Is that what we gonna do? How about just let me out there? Just let me out there. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you? That's not what we said. We just said we can't find it, we'll come back. What are you talking about? And so they let him out, and Letty's trying to run up after him and tell him, like, look, ain't nobody giving up. We just said we're going to come back another day. But in the meantime, between time, I'm upset because we know sundown's coming soon. And then we see, on cue, the motherfucking sheriff's car. At least we see, because Atticus, Letitia, and Uncle George don't see shit. They just sitting there staring away as if this ain't a motherfucking crazy racist town, which they didn't already get warning about the racist ass sheriff. And then he pulls the fuck up, said racist ass sheriff, and he's just telling them basically what you black is doing here. And they just looking like, oh, we just passing through. You know what? I would hate to have to pull you over for some speeding. Yeah, we hate for that too. We're gonna go. Well, you better not speed, and you better get out of here before sundown. They had to get past that fucking borderline. And it's a long ass way to the borderline, and we see the sun going down, we see the sheriff following them, we see them driving slow and steady because they gotta keep it steady, because the sheriff might come and kill arrest they black asses if they don't and we see Letitia panicking, and I'm panicking with her. She got the gun ready, she just putting in the bullets ready, just scared. Atticus just like, what time is it? We looking at the state lines, Uncle George is looking at the map, just like, I think we close, and then we just sitting there like, and I'm just like, and then we all like, and then suddenly we see the state line. We see the line. Whoo! We gonna make it. We thinking we gonna make it. And then suddenly, after they pass the line, who do they run into but more sheriffs? I'm like, motherfucker! God! Can't get no breaks. I should've known. The sheriff's boy is waiting on them on the other line, taking them up into the woods to kill their asses. Atticus is trying to calm them down and negotiate, and telling them that it's a misunderstanding. And I'm like, boy, it's not a misunderstanding. You black, he's racist, he gonna shoot you. There ain't no misunderstanding there. What you mean? And I'm just like, at this point, I'm gonna grab a stick, something, because either way, you gonna get dead. You gonna fight to try to stay alive, or you gonna just sit there and lay down and die. I guess that's the choices at this point. But luckily, it don't come to that, because now we hear some strange noises in the woods. Skitters, critters, what the fuck's going on? Is what the subtitles is telling me. I'm just like, what the fuck is that? Next thing you know, the sheriff is getting killed left and right. Thank God they on the ground, I guess. And as we see one sheriff getting his ass killed, Atticus grabs Letitia, gets up, and he's like, run! And I'm just like, Atticus, wait! You left Uncle George! Uncle George still on the motherfucking ground, not going nowhere. I guess he's scared. Atticus and them is running. The sheriff is running after him. Luckily, they find a cabin to get into. They try to put the little bars in there to bar the sheriff's out, but them motherfuckers blew that door down. I was like, yeah, that was a long shot. But you know what? Kudos for trying. And now the sheriff is in there, and that's when Atticus notices that he ain't got his Uncle George. Meanwhile, Uncle George is sitting there looking around, grabs a flashlight from the dead sheriff's hand, and starts making his way out of there. I'm scared as fuck for Uncle George. In the cabin, we got two black people and two racist sheriffs having an argument. about what they gonna do. And I'm just like, ain't nothing like a monster to stop the racism for just a slight bit. To make people remember that they are all human and that they are all people who can die. For just a slight bit. Luckily, that's when Uncle George shows up. They move the things, let his ass in, and then they have the discussion. And that's when they realize, oh, okay, so, the light must be, why we didn't see him during the daytime. And why he didn't fuck with Uncle George. So now Letty mentions that they're in Woody, they got flares, and so Atticus is just like, okay, which way is the van? And that's when the motherfucking sheriff's gonna have the nerve to say, no, not you. You were smart. Nah, send the chick. I'm just like, say what now? Send the chick? Who, me? I'm like, who, me? I don't know who you talking about. Not this one. Shoot me how many bullets you got up in that gun, Sheriff. How many bullets you got up in that gun? Because you're gonna waste one on me. I ain't going. We all gonna die at this point, because if I go, it's certain death. I'd rather take a chance on a bullet. Girl, but you know what? Letitia is better than me, because when Atticus looking at him like, fuck you, like, nah, he ain't gonna let that happen. Letitia's just like, oh no, I got it, Atticus, I got it. I was on All-Star Track, remember? I was like, ooh, that's a good thing. So she tells him she gonna do it. She's scared as fuck, but she gonna do it. They move the thing out the way, and she starts taking off, and I mean, that bitch takes off. When I say that bitch took off, that bitch took off. Shoo! That was Letitia Lewis running down that motherfucking full speed sprint. Just monsters over here in the trees. I'm like, don't look back, bitch, don't look back. She rolling. Woo! And we just like, oh, okay, get there, Letitia, get there. Meanwhile, Uncle George and Atticus is still with the two racist sheriffs. And that's when the racist sheriff is like, give me the flashlight. And Uncle George gets it to him. I'm like, what? What are you doing, Uncle George? Come on, that's your flashlight. You think they gonna have to use that flashlight to help your ass? That is your only source of protection. Whew. It pissed me off when he did that shit. But anyway, meanwhile, Letitia makes it to the cars, record time. I'm like, that bitch was fast. Got there to the cars, turns about, there's the monster. She's screaming. I'm like, bitch, get in the car. She gets in the car, thank God, cuts the headlights on, and the monster digs a hole into the ground. Who you think is good time to relax? No. She forgot there was multiple monsters up in that motherfucking forest. She takes a break. A monster jumps down from the trees into her car screaming, and she takes the fuck off. And I'm just like, chick, you should have been and took a fucking break. You should have been and took off. Take a break after you're in the daytime. Shit, no, we don't breathe, bitch, till we don't breathe until the daytime. She's zooming on through. Zooms right into, luckily, the house, just as we see motherfucking racist sheriff turning into a goddamn monster his damn self. I'm like, oh my god, the shit's contagious. No! Monster sheriff now turns on the other shit, the racist sheriff, and then he kills him, and they both turn into monsters. Luckily, at that point, Letitia drives into the house, knocking the monsters over, but in the process, I think she honestly almost got Uncle George. And so now we are looking around, wondering what Uncle George's is, and we gotta pull him into the light because he's knocked out a bit. Letitia goes outside and starts throwing the flares on the ground. We throwing flares. I'm like, thank the gods we got motherfucking flares, because let me tell you, if this was 2020 or age of technology, they wouldn't have flares. I highly doubt they would have sit there, that motherfuckers would have sat there and like, turn your flashlight on your cell phone on. Turn on the cell phone flashlight. Where your light is at? Come on, we need a light. Would have been fucked up. But luckily they throw the flares out, and as the monsters is just looking at them, we hear a whistle in the night. And then all of a sudden the monsters leave. I'm like, somebody's training these bitches. What the fuck? But y'all, daytime finally comes. Through the night comes the sun, and in the daylight they walk their asses on through another motherfucking bridge. Almost looks like the same bridge that he was going through when he came, in the first episode. And they just walking on that motherfucker, and I'm just like, on one hand I'm like, why didn't you go back for a sheriff call? But I guess they said fuck that shit, they gonna keep on walking. Poor Letitia, she had a white shirt on when she first started, her shirt all red and bloody now. I'm just like, my god. And then they walk their asses to Artem House. And when they get to Artem House, they go up to the door. I'm just like, they motherfuckers really, I'm just like, I was just like, y'all black asses really went up to that fucking door looking like that, like white people ain't gonna throw you out. To my surprise though, they open up the door, this dignified looking white man in a nice little suit is gonna look at them like, oh, you've been expected. And we all looking around like, what you mean? We ain't never been just expected by, you know, a group of white people in the 1960s South. So we all just a little nervous, but that is, y'all, where we fade to black. So that was the end of Love Country episode 1. My thoughts: it was good. I enjoyed the horror. It was enough horror to keep me spooked and suspended, but not enough to make me be like, fuck this shit, I can't, it's too scary, I can't watch it. It was just enough. The monsters was just scary enough. I'm just like, I'm looking at them like, what kind of gooey Stranger Things looking multi-monster thing are you? It's just weird. I don't know. But I'm definitely gonna watch episode 2. And I hope you guys come back for the reviews of it as we review episode 2 of Love Country. Alright guys, bye.